It takes just a minute for it to add to the stream. I'm going to make sure. Let's see if anyone's out there yet. Hello, everyone. If you're out here, we're super excited. I see someone's jumped on. We'll give everybody a few more minutes just to make sure. I'm going to
Yeah,
go to Facebook just to see if I see it.
perfect. I did just get the notification that it showed up on Facebook.
Did you? Okay, good.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
so bad with Facebook. Like I know Instagram, but Facebook is not my friend. Yeah. Oh, okay, let me see. I'm just making sure that it showed up. I know some of the girls were telling me yesterday. Oh, there I see it. Some of the girls were telling me yesterday that um they didn't get any notice that we went live. So I was
Oh,
trying to make sure. Of course, there goes my dog. Did I not say that would happen?
no
Remy,
judgment, man.
Remy, it's okay. She's very anxious this one. Anyway, well,
Oh,
I'm super excited, Laura, to have you here today and share your birth story. So, for those of you guys watching, Laura came on the podcast yesterday, which it's airing in December. But we were laughing because some of this stuff was like, it's like some of the things that Laura went through and experienced, like talking about the poop everyone is so afraid of. And I just love your attitude. And I just, that's one thing when I first started my business, I posted to, because I've been Remy, come on. I've been a labor and delivery nurse for a long, I'm pulling this down so she can't see the neighbors. Um, anyway, I've been a labor and delivery nurse for a long time, so I have a lot of friends in my circle that know that, like people of course who text me when they're having their babies and stuff. And so I posted in Facebook, like, what should I teach about first? Like, what are your biggest fears? Tearing and pooping. That's what I heard
yep.
over and over and over again. And it's so funny because to me, as a labor and delivery nurse and a mama who's had six, which the pooping I can lean into because I have some poop issues, but the tearing, I feel like I love to help women release that fear because it's really not what they fear it will be in the end. But anyway, unless they have a third or fourth degree, which is rare, you guys, but I'm not going to discredit that that is a pain in the literal rear end. So we're going to go ahead. Laura, I'd love for you just to tell everybody who you are, just a little bit about you.
I am obviously Laura, and I was one of the students for Calm Labor, Confident Birth, and I am in Ontario, Canada. And a friend of mine happened to come across Trisha's course, so I decided to jump on and learned a lot. Definitely had a confident birth, mostly calm, and mostly calm. And yes, there was poop involved. And yeah, I am 30 years old and a first time mom. And so far, everything's going as smooth as it can.
And you don't have Instagram, which is
I,
so funny to me because a lot of my students come from getting to know me on Instagram because obviously when you guys jump into a birth class, you really want to know and like and trust the person that's going to be teaching you because this is a huge life event. So you don't want to like just have some Joe Blow teaching you, but you trusted Raylan. I know her name.
yes, yes, I trusted my friend Raylin who saw your posts and your, I don't even know what they're called, your stories on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I know her and I trust her. And
Yeah.
she was like, this woman's going to be a good fit for you. And then I did one of your come like meet and greets
Yeah.
and really liked you.
Oh, thank you.
So saw that and was like, okay, this is probably a good idea because, like you said, do not wing your birth.
Right. Yeah. And that
Nope.
was what I taught Monday night for the first day of Fearless Birth Experience, which I think you came in. When did you come into my world?
I was about 20 weeks pregnant when I came into your world. So
Okay, so it was before
yeah,
June.
yes, it was
Okay,
before
so
June.
June is when I started doing the Fearless Birth Experience. And I started doing that because I and all my girls on the inside that actually take advantage of what I offer. Because I know there's some people who do my class and they go on, they don't ever connect with me or whatever. And some people roll, and that's fine. But I know for a fact if people take advantage of the community, of the membership, and the insight and what we offer, that they will have a completely different experience. And so that's why I started doing the Fearless Birth experience, because I want these mamas, although it's really hard to handle in some senses, because like right now we have 2,500 mamas in the Fearless Birth Facebook group. And so Taylor and I are in there like trying to respond and show them, like what they're going to get on the inside. But if you guys are in that group, we haven't responded to you, we have to be careful, because we found out Monday if we respond to too many people, we get locked out of Facebook. So that's been interesting. But I can guarantee if you guys come into the class and the membership, you're going to get one-on-one care. Anyway, so you come in June, and kind of tell us from there.
So I came in before June, and I am a ginormous procrastinator. I am the person that would 100% have tried to wing my birth. And so when my friend told me about the course, I did the meet and greet. I really liked you, and I decided to invest in that, because it is an investment. As cheesy as that sounds, maybe, it really is an investment. Started doing the course, and then it wasn't until I was going on mat leave, so I was a little more than 34 weeks pregnant, I believe, when I actually joined the community itself and started talking to other mamas and starting to converse with you and join the happy hour groups, where everything that I was feeling that was making me feel a little bit isolated was completely normalized. So, but labor itself was really empowering and really cool. So towards the end of my pregnancy, which went relatively smooth,
Remy,
oh gosh, it was September 4th. My son was born on the 6th. September 4th, I just felt like a little tiny twinge.
I want you to go back a little bit.
Yes.
Because
okay.
Something you said yesterday, I think that these moms need to hear. And that was talking about when you went on maternity leave. Can you talk about like kind of what you experienced, and then how the community helped somewhat with that?
Absolutely. So I ended up feeling really isolated and very lonely. So even though I had love and support around me, because of honestly myself, and because I wasn't reaching out to anybody else, and I had gone on maternity leave from a job where I socialize a lot, I felt pretty alone. And I didn't realize how much I needed that community, which is why I reached out to one of the happy hours or joined in one of the happy hours, and started to feel a lot less alone. So because your partner and your friends and everybody there is supporting you and there for you, but unless you're in it at the same time, you feel very supported but not understood. So those moments where, as strange as some of this may sound to some of you possibly, being in the shower, going to shave your legs, and you're like, I can't even reach anymore, and that just completely deflating the start of your day.
Yeah.
And it's these little mundane things, but not being able to have 5 cups of coffee if you have an addiction like I do. But yeah, just having somebody normalize that for you, having you there and the community there to say, yeah, I'm going through the exact same thing. Like, hey, I miss being able to stand up and it not hurt my back, or being able to see my ankles and not just the straight line from swelling. So having that community was really helpful for me to normalize that and to feel a lot less alone.
I love that so much. And as you were talking, I was thinking about something specific, because obviously I bring in the expertise and experience, because I've had a lot of babies myself, but I'm not in the trench with you in that way. And it just really like clicked in my head some other things that like that is so valuable, which I know that in my brain. But I was thinking about a couple of my students, and I remember I would have never thought of this because I'm not that person. But one girl was sharing how she really was like missing being able, her and her husband went camping a lot. I don't know if you remember this, but she was talking about like not being able to do it the same way. And like when the baby comes, what will that look like? Because camping and doing that kind of outdoor stuff was so important to her. And then another mom spoke up and they related on that so much, where I wouldn't necessarily relate on that. And I love that about our community. And I've loved watching even some of the moms that come all the time have connected outside of that. And just having like friends that you can be like you said, because to some people, you saying, oh, well, I couldn't shave very well and that ruined my day, may not understand. But another mom who's 40 weeks pregnant or 32 weeks pregnant or whatever is going to be like, I totally get you right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because
And
even
it was,
I forget how frustrating that is, you know?
well, even now being on the other side of everything, having had my son, I'm like, oh yeah, like I say that and it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but in the moment, no, it's real.
Hmm.
And I was extremely lucky, I guess, in a sense. One of my coworkers, who's also a massage therapist, she was pregnant at the exact same time as me. Originally, we had the same due date. And so we got to go through that together as well. So being off of work and also losing that interaction day to day
Hmm.
with that coworker, that was a little, that was also kind of a like, oh, I lost that person for that day to day
Yeah.
to say like, hey, like in our case, massage therapy, how you have to shift your body, how you have to inhale water between clients, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. No, I
So
love that. Yeah, it's such an important part of why I offer the membership the way that I do.
yeah,
And for those of you guys listening, when you join one of my birth classes, you get 30 days free in the membership, and then it goes to 1997 a month. And the reason we've done that is one, we offer you so much. We have 3 hangouts a week. We've got expert workshops. 2 a week in some cases, but at least 4 a month. And this is anywhere from pelvic floor specialists to breastfeeding to whatever. So that's kind of why we've done that. And then we are offering the membership if people want to join before they get the birth class, or even if they're already delivered and they need relationship. So there is that option as well. But okay, so September 4th, let's go
September
there.
September 4th, I was at my parents' place and uh I just felt, I think the way I described it to you was like a little tickle in my uterus.
Yeah.
And my mom had said like, "Oh, I wonder if this is the start of labor for you." And I kind of brushed it off. I was like, "Oh, who knows?" And then September 5th, at about, by this point, about 3 in the morning,
On Labor
I
Day.
on Labor Day, I labored on Labor Day.
Yeah.
Um, it started to get quite a bit stronger. So by about 3 a.m., my husband and I contacted my midwife to say, "Hey, I'm having contractions. They're lasting 30-ish seconds. They're every minute and a bit. And this has been going on for an hour." So because this was my first time, I wasn't educated on this fact personally for the 4 minutes, every 4 minutes lasting a minute for 1 hour. I wasn't sure, okay, is this more intense? Have I progressed even further? Or do I need to call my midwife? So I called my midwife anyways. She said, hang out at home for as long as you possibly can until you hit that 411 in our case.
Yeah.
And then contact me. I'll come over and check you by that point. Labor at home, you've got this. So I labored at home. We contacted our doula, who's my best friend, Raylan, and she came over, I think at around 11, but time frame was kind of a blur because I was so focused and so in it. And she came over, labored at home until about 4:30,
Mm.
4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. And by this point, I had been going into multiple different positions. We brought a salt lamp into the bathroom. We had relaxing music going. My environment was epic.
Mm.
And even my dog hung out with me, which was very
So
nice. So
important. Yeah.
dog therapy.
Dog's right here with me.
There, if you have someone who's going to comfort you, it doesn't matter if they have 2 legs or four.
Yeah.
So, so labored at home as much as I could. By 4:30, my contractions were meeting that standard or that expectation. For timing, my midwife came over. She checked me. I had gotten up to 6.5 centimeters at home, and we were good to head over to the birth center. Uh, so from there, that was a crazy ride, but awesome. Um, got to the birth center, my contractions were really picking up and labored there. Oh gosh, I had hit about 8 centimeters when they checked me again. And by this point, I was doing the bathtub. I was still going into the bathroom to do the reverse toilet.
The toilet sit.
Yeah, that one. And we were also using a peanut ball with what was the name of the position? The really, really funny one that if you Google, you will get a very
Oh,
different
the flying cowgirl.
flying cowgirl.
Don't
Yes, that
Google
was
it.
do not Google it. I was gonna call it something else, which definitely would have been right. Would not have been right.
Gosh,
So
you'll have to tell me that after.
so so yeah, did a lot of that and that helped that really helped move my son down. But my water hadn't broken by this point. And you see it in the movies where that's how people usually say, like, oh, you're in labor, your water just broke, and it was this big gush. Mine hadn't happened yet.
Well, let me interject, because if
Yep.
I've not taught you guys this clearly, your water breaking is not necessarily you're in labor. And like the most common, if you're left alone. Now, the majority of us will never hear this because the majority of women are not left alone. But if you're left alone and we keep our hands off, and by we, I mean me, the staff, then your water will typically break sometime in transition between 7 and 10 centimeters. All right, go ahead.
Yep. Which is what happened, what ended up happening to me. But my midwife originally wanted to break my water.
Yeah.
And this is where kind of the muscle memory for your brain, for my brain anyway, kicked in for my course that my Calm Labor Confident Birth was I did not want anything done out of convenience or curiosity
Hell
because
yeah.
my midwife, hell yeah. So my midwife had said, I think that we should break your water. You're only at 8 centimeters, and showed me everything that it would entail with the hook thing.
Yeah.
And that probably had some actual name.
Amniotic.
So that one.
Yeah.
So she showed it to me. I wasn't feeling it, and I told her I verbally said to her, I do not want anything done out of convenience or curiosity.
Which I love so much. Like, I wish I had a video of you declaring.
Honestly, I was really proud of myself for that. And in addition, I had my best friend there, our doula, Raylin, to say, no, this isn't necessary, which was really nice for me to have that backup there. My husband didn't even get a chance to say no because both Raylin and I were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So we waited. We were going to reconsider at 11 o'clock if we were going to break my water. 2 minutes to 11, my water broke in the tub.
Which was not much longer than, I mean, you said within an hour.
I believe so. As far as I remember, yeah, it was within an hour or so. And I was so happy when it did break because I felt so vindicated. I was like, good, I did this. Like, I stuck to my guns. And
eat that, midwife.
yes. and she was really good. And my midwife was fantastic, by the way. Like, she really was, but there were things that I definitely disagreed with her on, like presenting the option to break my water, because it wasn't necessary at that point. Feeling tired and uncomfortable is okay in labor. It's completely manageable. Or in my case, it was. So I'm in the tub by this point. My water has broken. The contractions really picked up like crazy. And something I forgot to mention to you yesterday for our podcast was my contractions. Raylin had recommended to me, choose a noise to make during your labor. So mine were really deep oohs that I don't think I could recreate if I tried.
I'm teaching that actually during our labor coping because there is science behind that.
Yep. Because as soon as you relax your jaw, you relax your pelvic floor, you're able to just kind of open up a little bit more versus going and tensing everything up. So I'm making the deep oohs. Raylin is having me focus on her. In between those barbaric warrior calls, I was like, oh, you guys are fantastic. You guys are great. Like, in between.
It's unbelievable, right?
It's so trippy because
I
you're like, I need to focus. Oh, how's everyone
Yeah.
doing?
No, I know. It's so funny because I have a really good friend, which one day maybe I should have her come on. I ended up delivering her baby at home, and then the
Oh,
next
cool.
baby, because I was going to be like her doula. And the next baby, I was like, I'm not coming to your house, but I'll come to the hospital. I ended up delivering that one. I had just gotten off a shift at my own hospital, went to her, the hospital she was delivering at, ended up delivering that hospital. And part of it was because the nurses were not listening to me. Now, I didn't tell them that I was an experienced high risk labor and delivery nurse because I didn't want to make the nurse nervous. She was brand
Yeah.
new. But I told them, like, don't go by her demeanor. She'll have this baby. Because she was the same way. Like, she'd be like, da, 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 push the baby out.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap.
But it is, for those of you guys listening, we talked about this on the pain of labor class Monday. The contractions are intermittent. So this pain is purposeful, it's anticipated, it's intermittent, and it's necessary. And by intermittent, it's going to come and go. And you believe it or not, you can feel incredibly refreshed and amazing, or even go completely to sleep in that 2 minutes in between the
Yep.
contractions.
Which I did at
Yeah.
times where when I was birthing on the or laboring on the bed, for example, yeah, my husband would be like rubbing my head and stuff, and I'd have a 2-minute breather to catch up on sleep. So in the tub, it was really cool to me to have that Jacqueline Hyde
Yeah.
where it's hey, and but it was also really
Nice.
it. I had a client say it, put it very, very well. Yes, it is pain, and it's not necessarily forgotten pain, but it is extremely easily forgiven pain.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the moment where it's for me, I experienced it more as a very strong pressure. Strong pressure, you're doing your ooze, you're focused, you're getting through it. And then you come out the other side and you're like, yeah, I got this. Like I really can do this. So that was extremely cool to see that off time wasn't spent going, oh my God, what's happening to me? This is terrible. This is insane.
Yeah.
It was
Because you knew,
empowering.
yeah, you
Yeah.
knew what was going on. And this is what I tell, I wish I could just get this into the brain of every mama that's having a baby. Like, the fear, the unknown is really what gets you. 90% of birth is mental. And if you can stay on top of that, and you have to do it prior to getting into the labor room, you have to have that mental mindset ready to go. And understanding what's happening to you allows you to move through it with grace and however you need to move through it, but you're
Yeah.
not having to wonder what the heck, you know?
Yeah. And for me, my support people, and when I say that, I mean my husband and my best friend, they were the ones that if I started to lose control, so going from ooze to those ah moments, it was, hey, focus. Don't do that. You don't
Yeah.
need to do that, which is for me, that is exactly what I need. I need a hey, suck it up.
Yeah.
So
Well,
my
and I
friends and
teach my coaches that in the coach class, that
yes,
you go in earlier labor, your coach is like, comforting and soothing, but during transition, the end of labor, they really do have to take this like authoritative tone.
very much so.
Yeah.
And I had done the course or the coach course with my husband, so I could see what he'd be learning as well.
Yeah.
And super useful, like absolutely fantastic because it broke it down for him to be like, okay, what do I need to know? How do I support her? Because I don't know what she's going through.
Yeah. And I make
So
it very simple for them.
yes, which was he really needed.
Mhm.
Sorry, that sounded really condescending. He needed
No.
the straightforward facts.
Yeah.
I needed the detail.
Yeah.
So it was perfect for us. So I started to feel a ring of fire, which again for me, it felt like a really strong pressure. It was completely tolerable compared to the labor, like the contractions. The ring of fire was like, oh hey, cool, that's cute. So
Not everybody experiences that.
not everybody
But you
experiences
were
that.
also in the water.
Yes, I was in the water and I
And
had
that
done
makes a
pelvic
lot of
floor
sense.
therapy.
Yeah.
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 So perineal massage really, really
So
helped.
you said you did do pelvic floor therapy prior?
prior, and I'm doing it now as well.
Okay, that's so I love hearing that. We've got a couple pelvic floor specialists coming in, and we have a physical therapist who specializes in that that's doing a
Nice.
workshop on how to relax the pelvic floor while pushing.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned that because there are a couple things I wish I had done when I was pregnant: chiropractor and pelvic floor specialist.
Yeah. Huge well, I actually can't say that it was a huge difference because I don't know what it would have
Yeah,
been without it, but that to me was absolute must, especially given how tense I was prior. And my pelvic floor therapist actually told me that had I not done it, because we were able to relax um, the the muscles so much in that area and stretch out the perineum so much. She said that a lot of women will end up being told, "Oh, we have to transfer you for a C-section. Your pelvis is too small," when really it's just
the
tense.
pelvic floor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and the
So
truth of the matter is, if you haven't had a baby, like, of course, your pelvic floor is not like relaxed in that way. I always say
mm,
the path has not been paved.
yeah, no, and it's so true. So when my midwife checked me when I said I was starting to feel a ring of fire, um, she wanted me to come out of the tub, and I was like, "No, you're checking me in here, or you're not checking me at all." And
That's my
so
girl right there. Yeah.
and again, Raylan was right there, just ready to back me up as I needed her.
And
And
I'm gonna interrupt again. And for
yeah,
those
of
of you
course.
guys listening, I'm sorry, but I want you guys to hear some really good points. And I've got Jessica, she's new to labor and delivery, and she's talking about her frustrations with even nurses being like condescending or like complaining about patients who want it a certain way. And it's your birth and you should have it how you want. And I love that you said that she wanted you to get out so you could check it. For those of you listening, had Laura done that, like, things would have probably been different for her. And I tell them all the time, they're not going to manhandle you. It's not like they're going to say, well, yeah, you are getting out of the tub, and they're going to grab you and drag you to the bed. They're just going to be like, all right, whatever, your choice. They may get a little, if, rude about it even, but who cares? Because you got the birth
Yeah,
you wanted.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
So she checked me and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna call the backup midwife." So for us, there's a midwife for you and a midwife for your baby. So my midwife didn't expect me to progress as quickly as I did from when my water broke to when I was going to start pushing, when I was going to be at 10 centimeters, which is a whole other thing. I progressed in a completely reasonable time.
Yeah.
So,
You mean you didn't follow their rules? You didn't do it the way they wanted?
what a twist. So, so it's like it's not a completely linear thing.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
so she checked me. I'm 10 centimeters. She's going to call the backup midwife. She says, "Don't push. She'll be here in 25 minutes." And I dropped the F bomb and I was like, "Are you effing kidding me? Like, you're telling me to not push." And for me, pushing actually felt like a huge relief because this entire time for me, I'm feeling this baby moving down and feeling a lot of pressure. There's not really anything I can do about it to stop the pressure.
Mhm.
So I did end up pushing after she had told me not to. And I had tried doing the horse lips. I tried
Wait,
doing,
do you mean that you had a human coming out of your vagina and you tried to stop it for someone else?
I was really surprised too.
Like, really? Come on. It's so ridiculous.
It was very strange to me because it was, okay, this is the point that we want to get you to. We want to get you to 10 centimeters. Then you're going to push. Oh, you're at 10 centimeters. Do the polar opposite of what your body's telling you to
Wait
do.
for us. Be convenient for us, please.
So I vaguely remember Raylan asking the midwife, "Is there any harm in her pushing?" And the midwife was like, "No, I guess not. Like if she pushes, it's fine, but we'd rather her wait because they wanted that second midwife there."
Which I don't blame them. Don't think
No,
that I'm critiquing that. Like, but in my opinion, it seems to me like that there should have already been someone there for baby just in case clip like like you said, a twist happens and you do it differently.
you mean completely ignore them?
Yeah.
So, so the second midwife showed up, and by this point, I'm in the tub. I have been pushing, and when you push, there are things that come out of you.
It gets
So
right?
yeah. So this other midwife comes in and I don't think I mentioned this to you either yesterday. She came in and she's like, "Laura, I just wanted to let you know if you're in the tub and you pee, that's completely normal. I don't want you to be stressed about that." By this point, there's like bits of blood and some other excrement hanging out around. And I looked at her and said, "Have you seen what else is in here? Do you think I'm really worried about some pee?"
Yeah,
And she's
because
like,
you had some poop floating
"Yep,
around.
I totally had some poop
And
floating
just a
around."
side note to mention how incredible Laura's husband is, he's in the tub with her and
He's
her
in the
yeah,
He's in the tub
that is
with me,
commitment.
and they had a little, blue fishnet that goes in to get rid of it for you, and it was hilarious. I wasn't bothered by it at all. My husband was like, "This is love. I'm here for my wife." That is disgusting, but I'm here for my wife.
It just
So,
it doesn't bother me, baby.
yeah, no, he did
Yeah,
not say anything to me at all. His
I
face
love
said
it.
it, but he didn't say boo. He was exactly where I needed him to be, regardless of if there was literal poop around him.
Yes.
So so I started to push. I could feel the head coming out, and that was a lot of people are like, "Oh, like, it's the coolest feeling." I was like, "Oh, yikes, that's gross." So, but it also motivated me to continue pushing, was
Yeah,
he's
because
right
you're pushing
there.
right. And that's what I hope if you guys, for those of you guys coming in that go through my classes and hang out with me, we get excited when we see poop because we know you're doing it right. Because if there's something in there, it's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a really cool experience having the water birth. Head came out, the midwife asked my husband, "Do you wanna catch him?" Like, it was something that we had talked about previously, my husband really wanted to do that. So, he's again in the tub supporting me, and he's like, "I'm wherever you need me to be." I was like, "'Kay, if you wanna catch him, get the F out of
Do
the
it now.
do it now. Get the
Yeah.
F out, do it now. I'm not gonna sit here and let you be indecisive." Like, I was
Oh, I love it.
like, "Shit or get off the pot," essentially.
Yeah.
So
This
so
baby's coming out. Your chances now.
do it! Do it or else. So he got out of the tub, he put his gloves on, which I never really understood why he put gloves on
No, we
because he
talked
was
about this yesterday. It makes no sense. He was just in the tub with her with all the fun stuff coming out, touching her. He obviously touched her 10 months before that, 40 weeks prior to that. And now he has to put gloves on to get the baby who's coming out of her. Like I tell everyone when I do a birth plan consult and I talk about the partner, the coach assisting, um, if they say, let's get gloves on, you don't need to.
yeah, so it was but we also didn't know that at the time. I also didn't know that he'd have to wear gloves, and he's just doing whatever he's told at this point because he doesn't like, he's going with it, and he grabs our son and passes him to me. And that's the photo for the cover that we have is I literally have just been past my son. I'm looking
I
down
cropped
going,
your husband out. Did you see that? Just so
yeah,
he
I did.
I didn't know if he like we had discussed that he might not be super thrilled with that picture being out in the internet world.
Yeah.
So, but I loved it so much, and I cropped it, and then I covered all the stuff in the water with
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
just in
no,
case I had anybody out there with a weak stomach.
I thought that was really clever, so I really appreciated that, and my husband hasn't seen the cover photo, but I know for a fact that he will appreciate that because he
I
was
got your back.
full-blown photo bombing, just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I got his back because he was pretty incredible to not say anything about the poo, so I did
yep.
not expose him to the world.
So you could say you did him a solid?
I did him a solid, yes. Yeah,
So sorry, poop humor. So so yeah, I'm holding my son. It was the coolest experience. Pushing felt like relief. Having him come out felt like relief. And it was very strange though to me because my birth had been so positive, and then my immediate postpartum care was very medicalized, which I was not anticipating because I was with midwives, which was
yeah,
one of the reasons I went with midwives. I wanted chill, I wanted calm, and I wanted to be viewed for me as a pregnant person, not as a patient.
yeah.
So, right after less than 2 minutes after he was born, cord has not been cut yet. I'm still holding my son, and they're like, Kate, you're in the water. You're going to move over to the bed. And that's about a 20 step walk. It's not that far, but I've just had a baby. Baby is still attached to me. I'm in a tub, and I'm now standing up in a tub, terrified that I'm going to slip,
Yeah.
carrying my son out, going, what just happened to me?
Yeah.
So,
Tell them about the handprint.
oh my gosh. So walking over, because
CSI got called in.
so there's all this, like, everything's coming out of you. You just had a kid. And I put my hand up against the wall to rest, and there was like a bloody handprint on the wall. It looked like a murder scene. My husband could not use the bathroom either because everything just looked like a murder scene. There was blood
Yeah.
everywhere.
I always joke with my patients sometimes afterwards when we have like a lot everywhere. I'm like, oh, gotta call in CSI.
That it literally looks like a bloodbath just went
Yeah.
on. And yeah, so a bloody handprint on the wall. I'm sitting down. They take my son to weigh him and check him, make sure that he's all okay.
Which
And
they really truly didn't need to do yet.
they didn't need to do yet. We did get to do the delayed cord clamping, which was
Yeah.
fantastic. My husband got to cut the cord. So they had taken my son still in the room, but with my husband and my best friend, while my midwife assessed me. And I received a Pitocin shot pretty quickly after because they wanted the placenta to be delivered uh, in a quicker fashion. So they actually ended up saying that they would possibly have to transfer me to the hospital because my placenta hadn't been delivered yet.
Which
And
20 minutes hadn't even really expired at this point, which is so
no.
weird to me.
So, and again, I love it because Raylan is over there and I can see her face and she's just like, what's she saying? Like,
yeah. Wait,
like,
hold up.
do you need me to come over like guns a-blazing? So, Pitocin shot ended up working. The placenta did deliver, and that was a cool feeling as well. It wasn't. One of my friends had described it. She's like, it was the most euphoric thing, and I was like, it kind of felt like an octopus coming out of a small hole.
Someone else told me a jellyfish coming out just
Oh
recently.
yeah, I could see jellyfish as well. I could totally see that. And I actually got literally I ended up getting a picture of my placenta. I wanted to know the anatomy of it, so my midwife gave me a full anatomy lesson.
Oh, I
of
do
it.
that. I ask
cool.
every patient if they want to see because I love showing like the amniotic sac. It's like
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but a lot of my patients say no, thank you.
It's honestly so fascinating because you grew an organ.
Yeah.
You grew an organ, you grew a person and all their organs.
Well, and if you take the time, if you guys are listening and ask your nurse to show you, it's really cool to be able to see the amniotic sac.
Yeah, it really is. And all of it was really, really cool. So again, I don't even think a half hour's passed by this point, but now I'm being told like, okay, like you need to go to the bathroom. We're going to get you to pee. And I couldn't pee for the life of me initially. But I also may have been peeing in the tub. You don't know. So
it blows my mind hearing you say this even again. Like 30 minutes haven't even passed. Like, chill out.
Yeah. So it was a little bit frustrating. And I was polite, but I was firm because they said, okay, we're going to have to give you a catheter then. I'm allergic to the rubbers, be it silicone or latex. I am allergic to those. And I was like, can I just have
You did not want lady bits having all that going on.
No, I didn't want to be having to be put on antihistamines while having this, while breastfeeding. Like, that's not something I wanted to deal with. And I also just wanted a minute, just a hot second to be like, oh my God, look at what my body just went through versus being like, okay, well, you need to do this now or else.
Yeah.
So I went into the shower. The midwife said, yep, I'll give you 5 minutes. Go take a shower, blow through a straw. And that was really cool because I'm in the shower and I'm blowing through a straw, and I guess it relaxes your pelvic floor a little bit. And I was able to pee in the shower. You guys are learning a lot about my bodily fluids. You're welcome. So I was able to pee. I was perfect. My body really responds well to threats, apparently, though threats do not belong in your birthing place.
No, unfortunately, it happens way too much, though.
It does. I've heard a lot of stories, and I've heard a lot of positive stories as well. And something that I really had to keep in mind during my pregnancy and during my delivery is all of these stories that I've heard, no matter how good or bad they are, they're not necessarily my story. And
Mhm.
I really kept that in mind for the negative ones because everybody loves to tell a good horror story.
Yeah, and you know what I try to get you guys to do is when you're it well, I try to get you guys to stop and say, like, I've set some boundaries
I'm
up.
good.
Yeah, tell me, I
Yeah.
would love to hear your birth story, but can I hear it after I have my baby so it doesn't affect me? But if once you guys are educated, especially if you've taken my class, I really want you guys, when you're listening to these horror stories, look for a couple key factors like, did she go into her birth educated, understanding what's happening, and empowered to speak up? Like, if you can find
Yeah.
those three things, like, there's still going to be hard birth stories, whether you do those things or not. But 9 times out of 10, when you hear a horror birth story, it's usually because something occurred that was completely unknown and unexpected to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of the horror stories that I heard, it was people had a very rigid birth plan. And as soon as you feel like you're losing control of what's going on, you yourself lose control.
Yeah.
And so I had a pretty flexible birth plan. I just wanted my kid born ideally in the birth center. And I really wanted to try the tub. And I got that. And the tub was so cool. And the birth center in Ottawa has a fireplace, a nice comfy couch, this huge tub, walk-in shower, and we got a steak dinner
Dinner.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got a steak dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was a very empowering experience because my goal was to have an unmedicated birth if it was safe for me to do so.
Yeah.
And it was, and I'm so, so happy with the way that my birth went. I'm so happy with the way postpartum has gone. Your postpartum course was also really helpful for how to just give yourself a break, normalize the following things, and also here's how to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. It's so funny. You've like totally laid the groundwork, not even knowing. But right now, this week, our courses are open for enrollment, and anyone who buys a birth class gets the coach class and the postpartum class for free.
Those were
Yeah.
fantastic, like
So jump in
absolutely
now,
incredible.
y'all.
And are you still doing do you still sell the purposeful positioning course?
Yeah.
Because that one that was my saving grace for at home before my
Yeah.
doula came over.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to move around and I knew what positions were going to be the most efficient
Yes.
for the stage of labor that I was at.
Yeah. So, for those of you guys who don't know, we have a class called Purposeful Positioning. And just a hint, if you're going to join as a student, buy that after you join. You get an offer when you're buying the class for it at a pretty good discount. But if you're already a student and you want it, we have a discount for our students. So don't buy that straight up from the website. But it's called Purposeful Positioning. And I mean, I always pull my audience to get names for my classes because I'm so terrible at that. And that's how I got that name. But it teaches you positioning for laboring and then, well, for pregnancy and then laboring and then delivery, because positioning is important throughout your entire pregnancy and delivery.
Yep, absolutely. And the toilet one, I don't know what they're actually called right now, but sitting on the toilet and having one leg hiked up and then switching every like 3 or 4 contractions which leg is
Yeah.
elevated helped a lot. And while I was in the tub, I didn't realize this. I'd been squatting for about 3 hours in the tub because everything was so relaxed
I bet
and
you realize that
light.
the next day.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. I was like, "Why do my thighs hurt
That
so bloody
happens to
much?"
moms who squat on the ball. You think that like you
Yeah.
feel it while you're on the ball, but if you're sitting in a squat on the ball, the next day you will feel it.
Oh, yeah. I got a really good workout.
Yeah. And tell
And
everybody
yeah,
how quickly you went home.
so, I went home about 4 hours after my son was
Is
born.
that not crazy, guys? And tell them about the neighbor. I think this is so funny.
My neighbor's adorable. He was out walking his dog. My husband and I and our son had just come home, and my
4 hours
neighbors walk
after delivery.
4 hours after delivery. And so it's about 5:30 in the morning. Of course, I'm like, it's dark, therefore it is nighttime. And my neighbor's walking by and he's like, "Oh, like congratulations. Like how old is he? Like when did you deliver?" I'm like, about 4 hours ago." And he's like, "Oh, you're awesome. Like you're awesome. Oh my God." And I wished him a good night. Again, it was 5:30 in the morning, but he was just completely flabbergasted that it was 4 hours postpartum. For me, that was perfect though. I was at home, I was cozy, I had my dog, my husband, my baby.
Now,
I
at
was
this
good.
point, did you take any ibuprofen? I didn't ask you this yesterday, but have you taken anything?
Yeah, I had ibuprofen and acetaminophen.
Yeah, so that's
Eh,
what I recommend to my girls last night because a lot of times what I find is my mom's afterwards because you have that euphoric high and they're like, "No, I'm good." No, take the Tylenol and the ibuprofen.
yeah. So I
Helps.
definitely
Don't
I
do
definitely did.
the IV, the narcotics if you can hold off from it because it can make you get constipated, which is no fun at all.
Yeah, no, I took Senokot as well for
Colace, which
uh
is
stool
stool.
softener.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
told the same thing to them last night. Like, I really recommend you guys after delivery that you take Tylenol and ibuprofen around the clock for a couple days, and
Yeah.
that's going to help with the pain because your whole perineum has stretched out. It's going to help with any swelling, and it's going to help with breastfeeding pain too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an adjustment. I wasn't expecting it to be achy.
Hmm.
And oh, one other thing I didn't mention was I did tear. I had grade one tears that they ended up stitching. Normally, grade one tears, to my knowledge, do not require any
Not
stitches.
always.
I wouldn't stop bleeding apparently. So, and I kind of regret not speaking up, saying like, please don't, because it didn't seem necessary to me. But again, she's the healthcare professional, and I have to trust that she knows what she's doing. But when I saw in the report that it was grade one tears, I'm like, man, like
But if
I
it wasn't stopping bleeding, it almost makes me
yeah.
wonder if it was borderline a second degree, or maybe she just
Yeah.
misdiagnosed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, and that's what my doula wondered as well.
Yeah.
And but the stitching wasn't bad. I never felt myself tear, and the healing process was completely fine.
Yeah.
It's
There's so much going on down yonder. If it
oh my
tears,
God.
dude, I've had 6 babies unmedicated. And even with my first, which I shared with my girls the other night, I had a horrific story. He kept, he did an episiotomy, didn't need it, did an episiotomy because that's just what he did.
Yep.
And I didn't even feel that. I heard it. I'll never forget the sound of it,
Oh,
but I was unmedicated and I didn't feel it because there's so much pressure from the baby's head if you
yep,
do tear or if you have to have an episiotomy, which there are appropriate times, which
yep,
I teach my girls nothing out of convenience. But there
yep.
are times where it's medically necessary. And, but so just so all of y'all know, you don't feel it. Now, the repair is a little different. The repair, if you're unmedicated, you need some numbing medicine, which you had gel, right? Some,
Yeah, we had a lidocaine gel. So
yeah.
it wasn't too bad. I am that weird person that's like, ooh, I want to see the hook that they use. I love knowing what is happening to my body, which is one of the other reasons I took your course. So I that's why I loved seeing the placenta. I loved feeling that the head was coming out. I loved all of that stuff. And it was
I don't know how you wanted to see that. I even like fun fact about me, I I sometimes a provider will ask me to like stand there, like, like do something when they're repairing. And I have a hard time watching that go through your vagina.
it was because all I see is just like the hook coming
You
in up in the
you
string.
can't watch that as a woman without feeling it in your own vagina. I promise. I'm probably gonna get
It's
booted off of Facebook for saying that word. I'm not allowed, but
ooh, bad words. But but it was a very, very positive experience for me my entire birth. Stitches and all. Postpartum was pretty straightforward. My husband definitely um I think he had a harder time than I did because he had to watch me go through the healing process. And
yeah.
it's not glamorous. and it's very emotional as well, but it's manageable. You reach out to your support systems, you reach out to your community,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
now we
really
have
positive.
our postpartum happy hour, which I expect to see
Yes.
you in.
Yes, no, and you absolutely will, because things have finally settled down. I
Yeah.
busted my ankle, so I've been kind of a hot mess over here, but we're
Yeah.
making it look good.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So, but I am planning at being at the postpartums because that's something that I could really use as well.
Oh, you need to go in, and last night I was getting, or yesterday I was getting ready for the postpartum class that I did in Fearless Birth, and I pulled out a little sound bit from the last postpartum happy hour, and I shared with the girls during that class. Um, the last postpartum happy hour, and even just for people who are inside of my membership, I share some of the things I'm struggling with too, because you guys are my community as well. So it's, like, I really love what we have going. I love it. I don't think there's anything else like it anywhere.
No, I really appreciate because, like I said, it normalizes it, or it just gives you at least a different perspective for what's going on for people who are in the same storm as you. Different ships, same storm, though.
Yeah. Well, and
And
what I love about it is you might be on this side of the storm where you can reach back and help her walk through it
yeah,
to you, because there's something else about, like, I love that about the happy hours during pregnancy as well, because especially the girls who join earlier, I feel, and I asked you this yesterday, what you would have done differently, and you said you would have joined earlier and started coming to happy hours, and that's pretty much what I hear from almost everyone who joins later, is that they wish they would have joined earlier. And then I have a really strong group of women who join before they even get pregnant and then come to happy hours the whole time. And I know for a fact the strength in that is that, like, Laura might be 36 weeks and saying, "Oh my gosh, I just went to the doctor and they said blah, blah, blah." And then I jump in, Taylor jumps in, this mom jumps in, and we give you some thoughts. And then Laura comes back and says, "This is what I did. And that's what they said." Well, this mama who's 12 weeks is soaking it in. Then she hears it again when Beatrice shares it, or Brooke shares it, or, Jennifer shares it. And then when it happens to her, she is so well armed to handle it that it doesn't even affect her emotions.
yeah,
That's what I love about it.
absolutely. And I remember one of the happy hours I was on, there was a girl who was 40, she was over 40 weeks. I think she was 40 plus 4. And she was rocking on her yoga ball.
Yeah.
And uh, she's saying, she's like, "Yeah, we're just going with it. Like, babies really come when they're ready." And I was at this point, my friend had her baby, and I was like, "When the frig is this kid gonna get out of me? Like, I want to have mine too." Because this was the friend who had the
I'm gonna
same,
have that attitude too.
and it was just like, okay, yeah, baby's gonna come when he's ready. Like,
Yeah. You guys
we
soak
got
that
this.
in, soak that in. And
Baby will come when they're
that's
ready.
what's awesome too about being on the happy hours, because you're hearing these other moms who are expressing what they're really feeling about going past their due date, but they're also expressing that they are going to mentally wait. And it's a minute by minute, like, reframing of what you're telling yourself, because it's really easy to say, yes, I'm going to go to 42 weeks if I go past. But when you're 41 weeks and you're like, this is the longest week of my dang life, it's
Yep.
really good to have that support to be able to reframe that. And for those of you guys listening, we also have our labor bat signal, where our students who are also members in the membership are able to DM and create a group chat with me and Taylor, my team doula, and you guys have access to us 24/7. Now, it's not always guaranteed we'll get back to you immediately, because we might be in bed. And from 37 weeks to 6 weeks postpartum, during that really vulnerable time when we need to, no matter how much we've taught you, we need to reshift that mindset often.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that you had Raylan, and way to go, Raylan. Way to go, partner. What was your husband's name?
Rick.
Way to go, Rick. I thought that was his name, but I have an appointment with a Rick at 11, and I was like, am I blending something here?
No,
Well,
you're on the ball, man.
you that you came, and I can't wait to have you coming to the postpartum happy hours and just coming alongside of these other moms who are in the trenches right now and reminding them, you got it, you can do this.
Yes,
All right. Well,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for watching. Have a great day, Laura.
You too.